Let's get that started. Awesome. There we go. Well, welcome once again to MyDHLife Corporate Update. We have a special guest with us this morning, Mark Rosales. He's our very own health and wellness trainer, one of many, and he's going to cover some very important, I will say facts, right? Things that we don't think about, and that is how we cause more harm to our body than good without really knowing it, right? Sometimes what you don't know, you just don't know. And so he's going to talk about the EMF shields and about nitric oxide and how important and why it's important. But again, when I say we are damaging our bodies eternally and don't even think about it, is because of our everyday existence and living, right? So, for example, we are bombarded every single day with electronics, right? It's part of our everyday existence. Right now, we're on a webinar. And of course, we've got our laptops on. We've got, our cell phones. We got one or two of them. I've got like three of them. I'm not sure why, but business, personal, I keep them separate. And then a lot of us have these little devices, right? They're Wi-Fi, Bluetooths that we put in our ear. And sometimes we don't think about, the damage it's causing. Now, I use it on a need-to basis only. I put it in when I need to, and trust me, I pull those things out of there as quickly as I put them in there because I already know, the effects, the negative effects it has on me. Even microwaves, you don't think about it. I use it very seldom. As much as I don't have to, I don't. I go sometimes old-fashioned and heat my water up to make coffee on the stovetop. So these are just little things, right? We don't think about. And Mark's going to talk about why it is so important. So you do have time, please go ahead and get your team on. This is a very important webinar this morning. He's going to talk about the nitric oxide, and I do have a little presentation slide here I'm going to pull up. But listen, go ahead and get your teams on, get your loved ones on, because they're going to want to hear what Mark has to say. These are just little nuggets he's going to drop for you to think about. And sometimes these little nuggets, right, applied, really you don't think about, but it actually makes an impact positively in the overall effect of your health and improvement of your health. So with that, Scott, good morning. Coach Mark, how you guys doing?
I am doing absolutely wonderful.
Awesome.
I like the music at the very beginning. So I was into it, and all of a sudden I hear a good morning. I'm like, oh my, yeah. I was in the moment.
You're in the moment, huh?
It is good on this Saturday. Here in Ohio, it's kind of dreary. But it's awesome. Love it. Actually,
Seattle, it's dreary as well. It's cloudy, and I did go for my walk and meditation and prayer, and it actually was drizzling. I said, Lord, just let the rain stop so I can go walk around the lake for a sec. And sure enough, it stopped. I did about three laps, and then got back in my car and it started raining again. So hey,
we don't talk about the weather in Iowa. Sorry.
Oh, we know it. Yeah. Well, the ironic thing about that, I left Florida to beautiful 80 some days, 90s, and came right back into, 56, 57, cloudy and rain. I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, but I love it all, right? So awesome. Well, we shall get started. I'm going to pull I'll just show my screen here. Not sure where I have my screen, but let me find my screen. There we go. That screen. Guys, I'm so excited about our lineup today and some of the things that, we have in store. These, corporate, updates, we call them a corporate update, but it's really highlighting our vendors and highlighting some of the providers as, we are so proud of each one because, they each have, we always talk about like minds and really a heart to help. And, every single one of them, including Mark Rosales and his heart and his passion and his gift, really, because each one are gifted and anointed with a special talent, and his is health. and preserving and extending, quality of life, not just extending life. I mean, we could extend life, but be in pain and deal with certain, sicknesses or ailments. And we know that's part of, but not part of God's plan, but part of life. But if we could control, heal, whatever we can do, but focus on extending the quality of the life that God has blessed us with here on this earth. That's what it's about. And there is ways, and trust me, it's literally the plan is in the word, right? I mean, from the very beginning, he tells us what to eat and what not to eat. And I mean, the whole diet is in the word and it's there for us. So a lot of us just, through time, we've adjusted and we've compromised and we've, our diet has changed and, but guess what? It's never too late, right? That's what I often say. What's the best time to start than now and creating new habits and changing your eating habits? I personally, when I came back, I went straight on an intermittent fast. I adjusted my diet immediately because I knew, right? So I went to salads and fruits, started back walking, started back, matter of fact, taking well, I didn't stop actually, my nitric oxide, and Mark's going to talk about that. So there's certain adjustments that we all have to make. A lot of us know that we need to. It's just a matter of conditioning the mind. That's where we have the mindset training, right? So you've got to just recondition the mind that, listen, your health is more important, because remember, we are the temple of the Holy Spirit, and we've got to take care of this temple at all costs so he can finish his work through us, because we're just conduits, right? So that's what this is about. So we've got Mark on with us. What I'm going to do is, let me share my screen. Is that the screen I want to share? This is the screen I want to share. And let's see here. I'm on a different slide here. There he is. Hey, Mark. Welcome. Good morning. Yeah, I'm going to stop share before and let Mark get an opportunity. Okay, it's an honor for me to introduce Mark Rosales. I've known him for some time now, and we shared testimonies and stories, and he's been transparent and share how he even got started in this whole endeavor, and his passion for helping people. He's a formulator, inventor, and God has just blessed him with just a special gift. And we're truly blessed to have him, as part of MyDHLife, in training and helping. And we're just going to expand and grow. We've been talking about several things. And Mark, I put together a little slide presentation, but welcome. And I'll throw open the slide here and I'll show you what I got. And you tell me how you want me to navigate. But welcome, Mark, and thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you, Steve, and hello, Coach Mark and Scott Bland, and everyone out there with DH Life. I was hearing the weather report there for Ohio and what is it, Salt Lake? Well, sorry, it's like Seattle area. I'm not sure where Coach Mark's at. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we've had our heat wave here the last couple of days. So we're praying for rain here, Steve.
Oh, so I'll send some your way then.
That rain over here in California. Lord knows we need it. But I was born and raised here in the Bay Area. My parents are Latin American from Central America. I lived in Costa Rica a number of years, and heritage, mostly Spain, but Central America. Before we put on the slides there, Steve, I guess folks, because some of you, it's the first time I'm meeting you. If you've heard this already, well then okay, now I repeat myself. But I have 3 kids. They still are at 33, 31, and my daughter's 25. Our youngest daughter has autism, and on the spectrum of autism, she's what they call nonverbal. So for those of you that do not know, there's a whole spectrum of autism. Very interesting over the years, I guess, living and being with an autistic child. You learn, we heard some of the trades. Rain Man came out, I don't know, the 80s or something. But they're now seeing that people like Mark Zuckerberg have autism. Einstein had autism. So you have like the brilliance, and I do think my daughter's brilliant. Her situation is she doesn't read or write, and she can't communicate or even understand that she has a stomach ache or a toothache, if that makes any um, sense to any of you. She knows she feels uncomfortable, but she can't know kind of where or how to express it. But we found our way to have language with her. When she hit the teenage years, and the reason why I start off with where I live is I live in the base of Silicon Valley. So right before she was born, a lot of your major media, I mean, Facebook, well, they're not media, but Tesla, YouTube, they're all within miles from my house. Google, Yahoo, all the stuff from Hollywood, um, Silicon Graphics, and so forth. That's only like a few miles away from here. EA Sports. So we have campuses here. So imagine that we have really very, very good internet and things like that. So when she hit that certain age, my daughter was on one medication to control behavior. It got to the point when she hit 15, 16 that she became just um, kind of like a roller coaster. We had lots of ups and downs that could happen within a minute. One moment she's laughing, but kind of a nervous laugh, and the next minute she's putting her fist through the wall or attacking you, or just even crying sometimes, which I've kind of soothed that. So she had a combination of things to try to cope with what she was going through. It was a very trying time for my daughter, certainly for the family. And fortunately, this is where, God works best. My mom always says he almost remains anonymous, but he put people on our path that knew. And this literally came from a friend of mine in England who knew that we were struggling. And by the way, there was no diet, there was nothing we could do. And I knew this. I didn't want to give her medications that made her look like a zombie or do all that. So she, at one point, folks, she was up to 8 different medications. Not a joke. A lot of antipsychotic. Then she was called in what's called a 5150 right from school, and she was usually pretty good at school. By the way, these behaviors happened at night, and then where it got to the point of that we had to hospitalize her is when she was going 24, 36 hours continuous without sleep. Then she'd pass out for a few hours, so she wasn't getting some rest. So she was hallucinating and other things were going on. And yeah, the medication would work for a little bit, and then it just was game on. Imagine. So it's like having DEFCON that. There's a thing called autonomic nervous system. So she was very dominant on one side, that just everything was chaotic. So I'm trying to paint a picture of a child who's going through a lot of suffering. So I flew to Malaysia. I met a gentleman named Dr. Carlos Orozco, who's one of the most gentlest, loving, brilliant people I've ever met. And he just asked me one question. He says, "Where's your computer monitor?" Now, remember, folks, I'm tracking myself. This was 20 years ago. Well, no, not 20 years. Sorry, about 10, 12 years ago. Anyway, and back then our monitors weren't like these flat screen that I'm in front of now, right? We had a desktop, and I've actually always worked from home, and so that was off to the side, and we had the line coming in and all this other stuff, and I left the computer on all night, which was literally right beside her. So the first aha moment was when I heard about electromagnetic fields, and they said, this is what, not just Ian, but a few other people, my friend Greg Becker and Sir Ian out of Malaysia. And it was like, she had kind of a tablet. I mean, I think she used an iPod back then. And so all these things disrupt because we are antennas, folks. We really are. We are connected in a way. And so And this is the brand new phone. Um, I put two shields on it. This is the brand new, I think 13. I didn't want this one, by the way, but I got it anyway. I was fine with my other one. It was the first time a phone's ever broke. So we carry this, but I want to introduce something to all of you because you don't have to have an autistic child. You don't have to be autistic yourself in order to benefit from this. And it may not affect you as much, but think about the frog in the boiling water. That EMF is that boiling water. It's an epigenetic issue. It's everywhere. So last night we went to bed. I didn't have my phone near me and don't. We have new protocols to best serve ourselves. So we put those to the side but I could turn off the electricity. I could turn off by the way, on this side of the house, my office, I'm hardwired. I'm not using any wireless here. So there are things called Faraday cage, and they work great. Problem is, nothing will come in. That means I have a full area that the cell phone will not work. Guess what I have in my bedroom? A Faraday cage. I don't want any of that around me. Now that's fine because I live in a single dwelling, a home. But what about those folks that live in apartments, condos, or you're at work and you could turn off yours, but all of that is around you. So our daughter was a part of what we didn't even know at the time, not necessarily an experiment, but it was like, well, how do we mitigate? How do we stop this? And now, in fairness, she has her iPad, but she's not as addicted to it and it's weird. She uses it. It's kind of like her comfort. She's 25 now. I mean, there's part of a maturity, but she always has a video going. She'll watch, let's say, because we're going to actually have her today for a few hours. She doesn't live here. She lives in a group home. But that whole area has EMF shields, the whole house, and her two roommates, and all the people that care for her, who happen to be these beautiful Filipino people that are there with my daughter 24/7. We got her off most of the medications. She has one right now for metabolism, but all the heavy duty stuff called PRNs and Abilify and Seroquel. I mean, these are really heavy duty drugs. Trazodone is what they use to sleep her. I call now because there's two parts of the EMF that I'm not just for all of you, for your family. I know Steve has grandkids. These are weapons of mass distraction. And yes, how many of you, if I just start saying to you, the last time you went out to a restaurant, you see, a couple of kids sitting at the table, and what are they doing? They're all looking down. Are they engaged? Are they talking? I mean, I was on the airport the other day. Sorry, I'm going to bring this up. I had to go to the bathroom. And there's this guy using his phone while going to the bathroom. I mean, you can't stop to just take care of business. You had to be on a phone. And I mean, just things like that. Or as I was flying, as soon as the plane landed, everyone's on this thing like, oh my, it's like we're not even present. And so there's many parts to that. But what the EMF shield does now, and Steve has some slides here, it doesn't block those signals. It harmonizes them so that it will not have that effect on your body. And this is based on earthing grounding technology. How many are these in circulation? Last count, over 60,000 phones globally. Once you place one, I put two because there's two cameras here, and I don't want 5G. I still use my phone, of course, and I love what Steve said, and I know that. I don't have the AirPods. I use just the ones that connect. I rarely keep the phone where I'm holding it. It's always either speakerphone or from a distance. By the way, that's in the manual. My daughter has it 3 on her iPad. She has a special cover, and we don't have any wireless on there. We deactivated it. We just installed her movies, and that's the only reason she's using it for. but we also make a point that she's not holding it. In front of me, folks, you can't see it. I have my laptop. And we say, well, laptops are not meant to be on your lap. Just like having iPads is, even though you put this technology on it to protect it, I still don't recommend it. Keep it away from you as much as you can, so it's not directly uh, touching you or your loved ones. Especially, folks, lean into this one, especially the young people, because their brains are still developing. And there's a lot of technology behind this because obviously, and probably the number one question I hear all the time was, well, this thing is so dangerous. How come AT&T or T-Mobile, or one of these, or these phone companies, phone manufacturers, Samsung, whatnot, how come they don't put that on there? Why do you think? This is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And now with streaming and people using their phones and so on and so forth, they don't want to admit to that. And there's a big story behind this. Not a conspiracy, folks. I have dedicated my life to this over the years. It's not the only thing I do, but it's being aware and teaching this generation to have some respect for these technologies. Don't let it get out of hand. And a lot of you know what I'm talking about. There's been studies after studies, parents arguing with their kids, and take the phone away, right? Oh my goodness, right? And they're off and they're texting and they're with their friends and at school and things like that. Well, now it's summer, but these things are actually affecting our way of being, and I do believe there's a plan behind that. Nothing is foolproof, but it gets people on the start to respect that, and because we just, yes, I can't be without communicating, but I could be without my phone. So I'm going to introduce to all of you a digital detox. I bet, Steve, while you walked around the park the 3 times, do it without your phone. I went to the beach a week ago. We just left the phone. It can wait. It was nice to earth and ground. We have the beach. It's cold, but things like that. When you go on a hike, do you really need your phone? Yeah, you can, but turn it off. So that's the type of thing that will allow us to be healthy. So these signals affect our hormone. They affect our ability to sleep, not just because of the screen. The heat as well. There is radiation, non-ionizing, and the 5G and beyond. And 5G is only the beginning, folks. Norway already has 7G. NASA's using 13G. That's right, 13G. The military has been using 10G for years. That's in our submarines. The Chinese, the Russians, the Americans, most of the forces are using 10G. So a lot of that doesn't come out, but that is verifiable. 5G, look it up on Google. What does it run on? 60 gigahertz. What does it affect? Oxygen. It runs by oxygen. Isn't that interesting? I'm not going to get into that there, but you can Google it. So there you are, my friend. I know you have some slides too.
Right, that was some amazing information, and I know we're gonna hear more of what's going on in the world and the effects and really an agenda. Okay, and you're absolutely right. It's an attack. It's a mass distraction. You said it correctly, and we've now become a society that's literally glued to this thing. We can't do without it. From the minute we wake up to the minute we go to bed, and some people even sleep with it, right? And don't not even realizing the damage. So what I'm going to do is let me just pull up the slide. Another topic I know we're going to talk about. Let's see here. Where are we? There we go. Yeah, let's do a quick view slideshow. There we go, present. And We should get it coming up here now. Beautiful. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the EMF shield, Mark, and great information. And you went through, what is the EMF and how it affects us, and then the new shift for our health and being really more aware of. And what you've done is just brought a greater awareness for folks to, think about and be conscious about, just like I am, because I've learned so much from you and just our conversations and the effects. So I try at all costs to make sure. And yeah, and you're right. I probably need to get rid of these things right here and get me like the one you have, right? Because I know it's causing some damage there. So now the other part that I'm excited about is this right here, because I do not go a day without the nitric oxide. And we're excited, because we actually will be introducing our first physical product, which will be the nitric oxide through Mark and what he's formulated. And folks, I will have to tell you, I could give my personal testimony on this. And I could, when Mark introduced this to me and I started taking it, at that time, I was taking supplements or what have you. But after, I don't know how long it was, I started feeling a difference in my breathing. I started feeling a difference in the energy. And it was just, I could tell something was different. Okay. And every so often I would take really, really deep breaths. I just let it out. I can feel how clear my arteries and my lungs. I can just feel it, and I don't go a day without the nitric oxide. So, Mark, what I did was I put this slide, and I talked a little bit on this, an email I sent out to folks about staying sharp, being vibrant, healthy living, improving blood flow, lowering blood pressure, how younger your arteries, just some of the highlights on it. And I do have the one video. Oops, sorry, I went too far back. There we go. That I could play, and then maybe after the video, you could talk a little bit about this product, if that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
Unless you just want to jump right into it, you tell me what you want to do.
well, I worked with Dr. Joe. I hadn't seen that one in a while, but you know, folks, the number one cause of death in the world is still heart attacks and strokes. And I'm going to borrow from a couple of doctors that, you know, with this whole 2 years of lockdown and quarantine and just kind of awareness and things like that, um, many of us, if we have symptoms of things, then oh boy, you know, now it's like you have a cough, you know, what do you have? You know, you have this. And I grew up in the Bay Area, and I remember I was about to start college, and when AIDS came about, it was like, wow, you know, you could catch it. It's in the air. You're gonna, you know, better watch out. And then they came up with things like that. And so, but when we start to talk about vascular, it is one of the only things that doesn't have inflammation. It does, but it doesn't have symptoms. So, how many of you, Steve, imagine if you went to try to walk around the park with a sore back, or your ankle or your foot hurts? Well, your body will inflame and will say, lay off. Let me heal that part of your body, and then you go for your walk. Well, the heart is very, very different, especially for men and women. That process is going back to, and this is based on Nobel Prize winning science. One of the gentlemen he just showed there was Dr. Joe. May he rest in peace. He passed away peacefully 2 years ago of another situation. But I have here just a kind of I'm going to put it up to the camera. This is a screenshot of your arteries. And then I have the other one right here that I'll bring up to the camera. Our arteries work real hard. Our heart works real hard. Now that first one was young arteries. This is like, that's what an artery would look like that's already diseased and is about 80 years old inside. Now, I have seen people that are 40 or 50, even though they didn't have symptoms, that their arteries were looking like this. So let me give you some kind of amazing things what Heavenly Father did as he built this out. It's amazing. Do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, that your blood flows almost 14,000 miles a day in a 24-hour. That's 4 times across the United States, 3 times across the United States every day. Our blood, which is only a couple of liters, it circulates through everything and it feeds. So our circulatory system is 100,000 miles of arteries. And so with nitric oxide, when it won the Nobel Prize in 98, it first came about for people that had heart problems. Challenge again, number one global killer. To give you an idea, even through 2021, last year, every 20 seconds, someone in the United States is having a heart attack or stroke. Of that, every 34 seconds, someone dies from a heart attack or stroke. These are the statistics. It's in the millions that it affects globally. Now, what affects all that? Well, granted, diet, history of heart disease in your family, so forth, high blood pressure, number one issue in the world, number one issue, high blood pressure. And it just strikes certain people, and certain people know. They don't even know the cause of high blood pressure, as odd as that sounds. Here I see Steve, who's in good shape, obviously works out. I noticed what he just said. He eats fruits and vegetables. That's good. He may have high blood pressure. I don't think he does, but it strikes some people. So it's not built on one thing. Obviously, they're now calling it diabesity, which is diabetes and obesity. That's another major marker. So all these risk markers are out there. Well, what about smoking? I've had people say, well, I don't smoke. Well, if you live in Mexico City, you walking around in Mexico City is like you're smoking 3 packs a day just from the pollution. I would venture to say that San Francisco, which is my home port for many years, although I lived overseas for a few years, it's always be home for me, the Bay Area. I can't believe flying in now, all the smog. LA, you can imagine, or other areas in the world like Hong Kong. Although it's kind of breezy, you see a layer of pollution that we're breathing in. And then other things. So now we had this world situation. You notice I'm not going to talk about it, but we all know it went down the last 2+ years. Number one part that came from that was the long haulers, people that were affected by this thing, which I won't give it oxygen, and it had long-term effects. And this is across the board to young people. Apologize, everyone. I consider anyone under 30 young because my kids are that age, 25. Anyway, it's affecting that age group, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Let's go into the product for now. Currently on the marketplace, and that's where I started with this, I've been in this field 21 years. When people used to ask me what business I'm in, I'd say, well, I'm in the anti-death business versus saying anti-aging. It says it's all about how we can add life to years and years to life. And nitric oxide at the time was heavy on L-arginine, which is a semi-essential amino acid. You get that in your foods, basically shellfish, meat, things like that. It'll be in higher concentrations. And we did more powders. We had powders that we put in, you put in the water, you drink it. I did that for a number of years, formulated for some big companies. But the company I started with was Heart Bar, and I worked with a gentleman named Dr. John Cook, and that's with an E at the end. And John Cook was at Stanford University. So there's been 17 different patents on this. It's a natural occurring process, and when you increase nitric oxide, you help the inner lining of the arteries. These things that I showed you is called the endothelium. And think about it that the endothelium, our inner lining of arteries, should be like Teflon, where nothing sticks. But over time, all these other factors affect, and part of that's also called, see that yellow gunk? See that? That's what happens. So we are actually older inside, and Let me have you please hear this, folks. There is a thing now called accelerated aging. We're actually aging faster inside. So, case in point, I'll pick on my brother Steve. Steve is 50 plus tax. We'll leave it at that. How old is he really inside? Is he 50, 40, 30, 20, or the other way? Is he 10 years older inside? He's 60 plus, 70, 80. Do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I'm talking about? And the next generation, and by the way, these EMF don't help that at all. In India, people put the phone right by their heart, the men. Or I know in Latin America, people put the phone right by their heart, and I always cringe when I see that. They're doing that to try to protect themselves, but you don't want that near your heart. So the CardioWare has a tri mechanism. It has, first of all, it's there to create nitric oxide, which you cannot actually supplement. You have to put precursors that your body will create this within the lining of its arteries. Nitric oxide is actually a gas that's produced in the body, and that helps keep the cell walls, the arteries, pliable, flexible, younger. That's probably the way to best describe it. It's to increase that circulation. It's all about circulation, right? Second thing, it has a very high nitrate profile. So it uses 3 different pathways. So we don't use high dosing L-arginine. We only use one that actually has a patent. There's 21 clinical studies on CardioWare. It's very safe. If you have medication, all that, obviously you want to be with your doctor and consult and routinely take your blood pressure or blood sugars or both, and just see how you're increasing circulation and potentially, making those medications work better, or in some cases, it has happened. I cannot guarantee it, but I've seen lots of cases that people will reduce or completely refrain from taking any more of their medications. Okay, not always, but if you can do that, that's probably a good thing. And they've done this without even lifestyle change. So granted, if they're smoking, if they're doing other things that are more risk markers, then they'll actually have better results if they're more compliant and lead a good, I would say, optimal lifestyle. And folks, let me add into that. That includes prayer and meditation. That is across the board. Doctors don't ever prescribe that, but I always say, hey, double the dosing, double the prayers. And then the third part is it has a super antioxidant effect. You help oxygenating the system. So to the side here, I'm going to just show you real quick. This won't be valid because I'm talking, but I have an oximeter here. And these became very popular during the last 2 years, where people were looking at not only the speed of their heart rate, but looking at their oxygen. And oxygen's carried by the blood. So right now, because I'm moving and talking, it doesn't really want to register. So, okay, there we go. Oh, it didn't do it. Yeah, I have to have my finger down, but you would see there that my oxygen is running, there it goes, 99%. That's a good thing, okay? My heart rate's high because I'm talking and moving around. But these parts as well, and the way we know how to validate it has also been optimal. So listen, folks, there's 60 caps in there. It has 34 grams of potassium nitrates and nitrates, which are all vegetable blends, are one of our key ingredients that no one's really even talking about, red spinach. And so it has an effect on everything, because remember, nitric oxide runs throughout your whole body. I'm 50 plus tax. I have my mom who's 85, just turned, my father at 82, he'll be 83 in December. And I have literally thousands of family, friends across the globe. We focus mostly overseas in Asia and in Europe, but I'm very proud to be associated with DHLife. We know this works. It's a standardized, concentrated formula. That's actually the new label. We had the silver one before, but we just made it simpler. And there you see, the hourglass with the heart. So we're about flipping that over and giving our heart a break, increasing circulation to your arteries. And remember, that happens throughout your whole body. So with that, we're eager. We're very excited with our partnership with DHLife and representing this product. So with that, Sir Steve.
Awesome. Wow. What a wealth of information. And guys, you have the opportunity to ask any questions. Right at the bottom, you'll see the Q&A. I will highly suggest if you have any questions, drop it in the Q&A. We'll have Scott read them out, and Mark is here. He's at your disposal. Please ask questions. That's one of the best part of, okay, we've got a hand raised over here. All right, Belinda.
Yes, hi, Mark. Thank you so much for this amazing presentation you brought to us today.
You're welcome, Melinda.
So in regards to that last product that you talked about, what is the age group?
Well, I've always given my children arginine. I would say 18 and above, but because we did powders back then when my kids were they were younger. But what I found is before a sporting event or a big test, I'd give them a little bit more during those days. It doesn't affect them. They used to have it because of human growth hormone, but there's no evidence of that. And the other part of it, Belinda, is nowadays, as you know, some of the younger people have already some symptoms. They may have asthma or other, breakdowns of some sort or another. Not too many now with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, but I will tell you this, Belinda. I have a nephew, and he's only 19, and they already put him on a blood pressure medication in Costa Rica. I had no idea. I knew that when I came out to see him, his blood pressure was high. So I immediately put him on CardioWare.
Okay.
And it took about 2 months to get him back on track. He has to do other things in order to maintain, exercise and so forth. But you don't want to exercise very strenuously if you have higher blood pressure. But it's all about prevention. I think I didn't say that, but entwined with all of this, folks, it's all about prevention. So you don't want to do this just because you have that. Now, I noticed because you're raised, Belinda, you're African descent. African, Southeast Asian, even I know Brother Steve is from the Caribbean side, Trinidad Tobago. I'm Latino. It certainly affects us as much as well. We have higher risk markers by
Yes,
the
sir.
melanin in the skin and all that. If you really, really deep dive, be it black in America or in other parts of the world, they have a higher propensity towards vascular disease, which then when you look at the consequences of high blood pressure, you'll see that dialysis and so forth is affecting very much that community. And that's also affected here the Native Americans of the United States. They also have a very, very high mortality rate, early termination due to diabetes and blood pressure and so forth. They're all intertwined. These are called cardiometabolic processes. And the earlier you start, we believe, the better, you'll be. I'd like to say we can get to an advanced stage with all our capacities in place.
Yes. Thank you so very much. And I'm very interested in purchasing that product for my family.
Great. And for you want to, if you're within, it's basically 2 capsules a day, 1 in the morning, 1 at night. It's considered a food, ladies and gentlemen. It's not even considered a dietary supplement.
Beautiful.
So it's boutique unique. It works within the body. Low dosing all arginine. And then we have a thing called B1 mononitrate, which you won't see it out there. So we really researched this with thousands of people. And then of course you just want to monitor constantly. Your body will give you feedback. Trust your body, it never lies. Just, blood pressure and keeping that, optimally. So that's what it's about. And when you team that up with DH Life, it's all resonates because this is not available in stores or pharmacies. It's available through this network so that we can reward people so that you know, I that's the least of it. But keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, especially when it comes to heart disease, when I talk and I do a lot of more of these overseas, I'm excited to be doing this in my home country in the United States. What is the number one cause of bankruptcy in this country? Number one cause: medical bills. Let that sink in. Medical bills. God forbid, and a lot of people in the United States are underinsured, don't have enough insurance. Fall, you hurt yourself, break a leg, God forbid, okay, you get urgent care, they patch you up. Hope you have insurance for that. I work with a lot that don't. A lot.
Hmm.
And families that work hard or they don't want to give them the insurance. And that, wow, you happen to be in England, you have a heart attack, they'll patch you up. They're not going to be about prevention, but they're not going to turn you away. Here, the last known one is about $86,000 for a heart procedure. That's just kind of in 1 to 2 days. It's real world, folks. I'm just saying I don't like to come from that place because you don't wish on, obviously, for no one, but that's the reality of where we live in this beautiful country. But other countries don't have that as much. And so it's interesting that in areas such as Philippines, where I've worked, and Korea and Thailand, where they don't have great healthcare either, but they're really, really focused on prevention. And that's really up to all of us to empower each other with the right information that serves people higher good. So
That's right.
Thank you
look
so
forward to hear all
much.
the great testimonials.
Mhm. So one of the things, I want to mention, we've got some questions in the Q&A here. We'll answer them. But folks, just remember, our collaboration and our partnership is very special. And of course, Mark, hit it on his head. It's about, empowering with information and of course, preventative maintenance and everything that we do so we can take care of this temple. And so, EMF Shield, of course, is offered through our packages. As one of our physical products that we, is shipped to the members that have that package. But the nitro oxide product, we're going to be offering that under our DH Life label, and we're excited about that because, again, we want to get these type products in the hands of every member around the world, and also non-members too, because of course, like Belinda said, she wants it for her and her family. Of course, she's a member and an advisor. Her family's part of this and her friends, So there's so much benefit. I know Coach Mark has tried it and he's got raving reviews about it already, and he could share his own personal testimony on that. But I'll just read a few of these questions. We've got Dr. Pacola's got a few questions. She want to know about the cost of the product. Oh, here's one question, Mark. Where are they manufactured? I mean, that's always a question in one's mind. Is it manufactured in China and shipped over, or overseas, or where is it manufactured?
Great question. It is manufactured in California in a CGMP registered, FDA registered lab. It's the only thing we do. It's all vegan material. We are going for certifications. I don't know if I have them right in front of me here, but we ship to about 17 countries globally. So we literally sorry, I'm going to slide over here and I'm going to slide back. I'm going to show you our certificate of free export sale. We just got South Korea, which is super hard to get. We have export license into Japan in some of these areas into Europe, which is very hard to get, to be honest with you. It's very difficult. Most companies won't do that. We do. So everything is double tested. So once the raws come in, we send them out, and we have a proper fingerprint, because what we're looking for is the activation material, so that we allow the body to get the the ingredients to do its work, allow your body to do the real magic. So um, they we generally recommend 2 caps. Some people are taking 4, 2 in the morning, 2 at night, if they already have a few kind of situations they want to bring back into balance. Okay. Um, and I guess that's it. So yeah, CGMP, made in California. All the ingredients are fermented, all organic, and nothing. The only thing that comes from China is the bottle. To be honest with you, the label's made in the United States. We're looking to change the bottles here, but that's the only thing that is that we have uh, made in China. But all the other ingredients. The red spinach comes from India, certified organic. We have our organic license on there, and everything we do is transparent. So not just the lot number, everything is. Uh, it's basically a European standard, even though we're in the United States. We go the extra step to make sure that everything is there. And we've had batches. We had that happen this year. We rejected an ingredient because we tested it first. It's like, no, send it back. We'll have a delay. That was our first delay in a couple of years. Now we have plenty in stock. So
That's amazing. That's great. And folk, I will let you guys know, when, how you can order and exactly how to get it. One question, when from shipping date to order date, just an idea, I guess the time frame and getting the product. I guess it depends on where you live too, right? So, like shipping anything else, it's based on your zip code if you're around the world, and of course, you have that international shipping, and that takes a little longer.
yeah,
So,
generally, if we get the order Pacific time by 2 p.m., it goes out the same day. Not it goes out the next day. We had one took almost a week to get to Florida. That was like a outlier. We use USPS priority. We can do FedEx. When we use international, we use DHL, and we have like Amazon rates. So we have tracking all the way through, and so generally it'll take a couple of days within continental United States.
beautiful. All right. Well, any other questions? Let's see here. We got another question. Is it patent, and does it have any clinical research?
Yes, we have a 21 clinical studies, and the primary one was on the arginine we use, which is bound with silica. So the formula is actually 8 years old. It was called Argenesis before, and then we went to CardioWare. I think you may have even tried it as Argenesis, Steve, a few years ago.
Mhm.
But we went to CardioWare. Yes, we have clinical science on all of it. And also, just I'd probably go back to the first question. On every one of them, we have what's called certificates of analysis. So we do purity on everything. So everything that goes out has a COA. And we have that. It's always on file. If somebody wants to see it, we could show it to them. That we tested it when it came in, and we tested the end product, and we keep always one in case there's ever a recall. We haven't had any because we go through all that protocol. So yes, we do have clinical studies. 21. No one has that kind of science behind it.
That's amazing. So, guys, you're getting a well-rounded, food product, like Mark said, which is important to understand the differences, supplements versus a food product, because, more and more people are leaning towards that plant-based and more food. So, it's actual food. So it's very important to understand that. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. Is it okay to take with medicine? Uh, I guess I can answer that. Yes, because it's a food. It's like eating an apple while taking your medication, right? So, but great question, though. You're absolutely right. It's okay to take with medication. And like Mark said, in most cases, in some cases, but not in all cases, you're able to even reduce or if not eliminate. Of course, consult with your primary care, on whatever decision. So, well, wonderful. Well, from our advisory team, any questions for Mark? Anything you want him to share, cover about the product, what people get when they order a package, Coach?
Yes, definitely. I am appreciative to have, get a chance to try the product. I need some more. So I'm ready to go. Put it in the store. For myself and background, knowing how important, you know, this product was, to me, having had a triple bypass, at age 40, the wake up call for me. And actually at that time, second chance at life. Since then, I know how important it is. We've, had to put one cent, but I've searched around for different products, and a lot of people play with their formulation for profit margins, things of that sort. And even with starting MyDHLife, they'll tell you, I mean, I got put in the hospital while we were in developing stage at one point, and I was having a terrible cough that would not go away, and they wouldn't even tell me that that was part of heart failure. And so just having health complications, knowing how important your health is, your wealth is, and having that product, and when they said, "Hey, we got to get you some of that," and so in trying that product, just having really just one 30 type of supplies, so I got to get more and keep it going. I haven't had those problems since, and and being able to speak and teach and everything else, everything's been fine. So it's an amazing product. I'm excited about it. Thank you and your team and everyone else for how this is going to be a part of, again, what we say, practical products that are going to really help change people's lives. So thank you guys once again. Thank you.
Coach Mark.
Yeah, that's amazing. And something, Kim, the spirit, and we'll hear more about this, that, health is the new wealth. Because the reality is, guys, you could have millions, all the money in the world in your bank account. But if you don't have your health to enjoy it or spend it, you end up using all that money, all that wealth to try and just stay alive. So, and Mark talked a little bit about that, but yeah, health is truly the new wealth today, especially this day and age that we live in. So yeah, you said something there, Coach Mark. Yeah, that the coffin had to do with your heart. I mean, I didn't connect the two. That wow. So I
It
guess
had to do with oxygen because at the time, even though he was chronologically 40, biologically, internally, having a triple bypass, Coach Mark, his arteries were probably 70 to 80 years old. And he had probably no symptoms. These are things that are just like, it could be that. And sometimes, especially women that are going into the emergency room, oh, you had indigestion or you had, acid reflux. It could be heartburn. And maybe it been part of that. But it's best that we test, not guess. And that's where the shock happens, because I've met people that you would just say, whoa, no way. They run 3 miles a day. They eat cardboard. They're good people. They don't party. They don't ever drink and da 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 da. Right? Boom, heart attack. Just like, well, wait, it makes no rhyme or reason. And then you have people that can eat Big Macs and all those other things. Every once in a while, I guess it's okay, but that's their lifestyle, and they 70, 80 without any issues. So none of it's rhyme or reason, but the thing is, this really does address something that should be a concern for all of us. So, Coach Mark, it's really about adding life to your years and years to your life. It's that quality of life as well
Mhm.
that Steve's talking about.
Absolutely.
You
Thank
know,
you. Yeah, we found out through our history we have a chronic buildup. Like you said, I'm now 52. My uh, uh, father and grandfather, they didn't make it through their 60s because of that chronic plaque buildup. I didn't realize your body produces it on its own, and ours overproduces. So your
yes.
product is amazing. Thank
Well, it's there to address that. I didn't say you said it. The plaque, that's part of it. That's a big part of it because that's what ends up being these here, and then prevention. It wouldn't have been nice to know that in your 30s, because it didn't happen when you were 40. It built up since the time you were 18 or
you.
20. It just, and that's where I'm in my 50s, and now there's a hospital here in the Bay Area called El Camino Hospital. Has mostly Southeast Asians because we're in the base of Silicon Valley. Folks, no, real world. People are going in there less than 40 years old with their first heart attack. It's like it used to be, oh, you're going to get older inside stiff arteries when you're 50,
Mhm.
60, 70. No, it's accelerating.
Mhm.
By the way, their lifestyle sitting down. Sitting down is the new smoking of our lifetime. That is
Wow.
causes more issues than people will realize. Get out there, move. My friend Steve, I've got my daughter. I need to get ready for.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for your time and sharing your wealth of knowledge. And folks, thank you so much. We'll continue on here real quick, and I'll end it out. But I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Mark, for just sharing in your time. God bless.
Blessings.
All right, guys. So, one of the things, Mark had really pointed out, and I just want to echo, it's all about preventative maintenance, And for me, many of you have heard my testimony. Yes, Prophet Lovemore, I see your hands are up.
Oh yes, thank you so much, Apostle Steve. It's awesome. I'm telling you, I'm just excited about that product, and I'm going just to say a saying. I believe it's going to help someone who's here. I'll say it in Shona, and then I'll say it in English. It says, "Chakatangira nyoka kusika pamba mupini." So what that means is to say that the what actually arrived at the house is the axe head before the snake came to the yard. What I'm trying to say is, or what that parable, or that that wisdom, the ancient wisdom says is, by the time a snake comes or arrives at your house, it's not the time to go out and look for an instrument to kill it with. You can only use what is in your house to kill the enemy that's coming into your yard. So I just want to say to someone, when you see this product, you might think that I don't need it, but today might be that day where God is actually allowing such wisdom and inventions to come before you before any tragedy strikes in your life. So that is what I just realized when I saw this product. I'm like, each and everyone really needs to take advantage of this and make sure that even when the enemy tries to attack your body, you know that you're in the right place and you're protected.
Absolutely, absolutely right. So back to the whole thought process of preventative maintenance, right? You don't wait until you're facing, a challenge, a health challenge, to start addressing it. But you look at how could we prevent? Many of you have heard me share this particular testimony. In 2001, I had a heart attack, and actually died and came back to my body. I'll share this quickly, why this is so important to me as a personal. And remember, all our products, guys, were the presenters were handpicked for specific reason, all the way from our mindset training to our legal to our financial, and of course our health and wellness, which we'll continue adding to. But the two physical products, we talked about EMF Shield, and then of course now the nitro oxide, which actually we will be bringing as a DHLife branded product. So I wanted Mark to just share a little bit about it. I'm excited about it because you know, for the and especially the nitro oxide, is for the reason I'm going to share this quick testimony with you. And I know it's weekend, and I want you guys to enjoy your weekend and your Saturday. But listen, I in 2000, well, it's March of 2001, but you go back to January, about 3 months prior, I started getting these very slight, let's just say uncomfortable feeling, right? And I thought it was just indigestion. You know, it could have been the spices I was eating. It could have been, you know, the pepper. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking is that it was just like really just like discomfort. And then they started getting a little more intense, you know, and between the time it started to you know, in 3 months, these pains would be immobilizing. I mean, I literally couldn't move sometimes for 3, 4, 5 minutes. I mean, I would just be like frozen, just letting that pain just subside, and then I would just like relief, right? And it was one point in time, it was described like I was a fish out of water flopping around on the bed, right? Because I was having the episode, apparently, that heart attack. Didn't know that's what it was. And but prior to that, okay, listen, I did so many tests. I went through my primary care physician. He did all sorts of tests. I mean, I couldn't figure out what it was. And but he himself said it couldn't be your heart, right? We kind of already ruled that out because he already knew, you know, like Mark was saying, I exercise, I was eating healthy. I'm a chef by trade, so I'm always conscious about the foods that I eat. And so I was very finicky at that time. So he said no, but my family said no, no, no. Let a cardiologist, right, rule that out. Not my primary care physician. I said okay. So I suggested, and you know, that look. Send me to cardiologist, let him rule that out. He said, okay. So I went to the #1 cardiologist in the state of Washington. And guys, I got to tell you, I passed every test, eco treadmill. I mean, I passed every test there was. And the cardiologist said that, now, Steve, it couldn't be your heart because there's no way, you know, you've passed every test, you know? And so, all right, doc scheduled me to do several other tests. Maybe it's your kidney, maybe possibly this, possibly that, right? Well, it's 2 weeks later that I actually had the heart attack. And I remember the paramedics there because I could, certain things I remember, right? Because I was still conscious. I was in and out consciousness. And at that time, he was just drilling, asking questions to the people around that, hey, does he smoke? Does he drink? Is he on drugs? You got to tell us. And because we can't help him if we don't know. No, I didn't do any of those, right? So, but I remember being in the ambulance. I remember being in the ER because I remember the curtain pulled, but that's all that I remember. And of course, the next thing was I heard a voice say it wasn't your time yet. I was back in my body, and I'm, you know, all these wires hooked up to me. You know, people were crying because they're just given news. But check this out. There's a divine, you know, of course, testimony in this too. But the cardiologist, because I was at the hospital where he was at, he had one hunch, and that was that that he didn't do it, and that was cutting the groin, shooting the dye, and sure enough, my aorta was 98% clogged. So they went in, they cleaned it out, took out all that plaque, right, that Mark Rosales was talking about, and put a stent in there, right? And so, but then after the cardiologist came back in, he said, you know, you're a very lucky young man, Steve. And I said, no, doc, I'm a very blessed young man. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about because, you know, I was given a second chance here in life. But he said, no, 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 no. From a medical perspective, let me tell you, I don't know how you survive that. Most people, if they do survive it, come out of vegetable. I mean, you had no oxygen, no blood, nothing flowing to the brain. I don't know how you survived that. But point being, though it's a testimony and me sharing this, point being, right, the preventative maintenance, sometimes we just don't know. I didn't think that that's what it was or what it would have been, and there's no you know, history, right, in my lineage to say that, you know, we have, you know, a history of heart problems. So, you know, so the preventative maintenance is very, very important in and that's why this product is, for me personally, so dear, and for you, and you'll, of course, you're understanding why now, in addition to the EMF shields, because of the day and age we live in, and yet what's to be introduced. Trust me, there's a lot more. So I want to make sure that our members, you know, are protected. that we're not just extending, right, the length of life, but we're preserving it, and we're extending the quality of your life, so you can enjoy life in the way God was meant it to be enjoyed, right? Living that millionaire lifestyle, and that's what this is all about. We got a comment from Noreen. She was late, no worries. So important to get good nutrition, all 60 plus minerals, 16 vitamins, 8 amino acids, enzymes, proteins, pre and probiotics, etc. Absolutely right, Noreen. And that's what's so key is in, a well-balanced diet. And guys, you're gonna hear more, see more. We're gonna have some exciting speakers and providers in the health and wellness, because that's the other piece that's really, like I said, top on the food chain for me is health and wellness, because we can make millions of dollars if we don't have our health to enjoy it. Then what use is all that money? We're just going to pass it on. Someone else is going to inherit it, our family, friends, or maybe if you don't have a will in place, then maybe, the government takes it from you, So, but one of the things, to just bear in mind, health is the new wealth, and keep that in mind. And we got to focus on that more and more. So with that, let's see here. Sheila, the information is so vitally important to all of us. Amen. Thank you, Sheila. Absolutely correct. It is. And we need to focus really more on our health and be conscious. And Belinda talk about getting products for her family, and and we should be considerate of our families too, and their health as well, and how important it is, right? Especially if you have children and grandchildren and great grands, right? We've got to look at those generations and put things in place for them as well, and teach them how to eat healthy and how to exercise. And one thing Mark said that was key, and I don't know if you guys picked up on that. He said sitting a lot is just as bad as smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day. Guys, let me tell you, you've got to get up and you've got to get moving. I know this whole pandemic have kept us all kind of in lockdown, and we laid around most of the day and sit around. For me, I can't. I got to be moving and keeping the body, because I know how important it is for mobility and cardiovascular exercise. I mean, just getting up and being active, right, gets the heart pumping and get it going. And you want that throughout your day. A lot of cardiovascular activities, so that way your body is not just either sitting down all day in the computer or laying down all day or doing nothing, but you got to have a balance, a lifestyle, and make sure that you're as well, your loved ones are as well being active too throughout the day. So with that, any other questions from our advisory or from our members, from our guests, as we have folks from around the world with us? All right, I guess no more questions. Wonderful. So I will keep you updated on the nitro oxide product, which will be a MyDHLife branded product. I'm very excited about it. Mark and I have been talking about this. I have been using Mark's Shield for a year on my device. Oh, wow. Dr. Percola says she's been using Mark's Shields a year on her devices. Good job. I'm so happy to hear that. I've got to actually get some new ones, because my older phones, my Shields are on it, and I've updated these things probably like about 3 times already. As you can see, there is none. So I've got to get my Shields with me for me. But I'm so grateful to hear you're using those Shields and protecting yourself from all the bombardment from the electromagnetic fields, guys. That is so important. I know we don't think about it, and it's just sort of an everyday take for granted thing, being around all these electronics. But trust me, it's going to get worse. It really is going to get worse. There's so much I could share with you about electromagnetic bombardment that's silently happening behind the scenes that you're not even aware of. But trust me, that's one area that the enemy, I could say, will attack the body especially, and it's all about the body. Okay, so we've got an anonymous Steve. We need to talk about the product I use. It's one product that company has, and it's absolutely amazing. Documented age reversal of 25 years based on Timor. Okay, yes, absolutely. I'm not sure who that is, but it's an anonymous. So absolutely. So any, again, remember, we are all about building a community. It's a member-based community, right? It's a member-built community. I guess is the best way I could put it. Is that we are where we are because of our members, and we appreciate each one of you and our guests that have, thus far made so many suggestions, recommendations that we have adopted and have literally implemented, and that's why we are where we are. And remember, we are a work in progress. We're a company in progress, and we're just going to continue to evolve and evolve and evolve until we have. I don't think we'll ever come to a point where we could say we have arrived, right? Because times change, life change, environment change. Everything changes, and sometimes we're just surprised by some of these changes. So we always got to be aware and be prepared to adapt, and then also make the changes according to those adoption, especially when it comes to each one of us and us living, a true dominion lifestyle and living in dominion over everything God has says, you're to live in dominion over, and we'll continue to, be very selective and make sure that everyone that, comes into our community, or whether it be a product provider, a vendor, whoever, is bringing true value and has a heart to see, change in everyone in our community, and as well, the empowerment. And as you've already seen, most of our providers, their heart is really to give and empower, and have been given a lot of their time, a lot of their knowledge, a lot of their talent, and that's all a blessing, and that speaks volume of who we are as a company, and the heartbeat of this company, and our mission and our vision to bring change and empower and just change lives around the world. And that's what this is about. So with that, thank you for being with us. Just make sure you go to MyDHLifeMeeting.com for our full schedule for the month of June, what we've got going on, our webinars, all the special webinars we have, like the Tuesday trainings, the community building Thursdays, our leadership training on Fridays, we had one yesterday, and then of course today our overview. We don't have our ministry Sunday this Sunday, but the following Sunday we will. We'll have some special guests coming on, and we just want to, but more importantly, thank you for participating, being here, bringing your team on, bringing guests on, because we want to continue just bringing value. Yes, we have our opportunity webinar schedule, and we have those on specific days. Some days twice a day, and then we're opening up different countries, but we truly want to just bring value to you and empower you, and for you to be proud of this brand and who we represent, as light of the kingdom, right? Serving our Lord and Savior Jesus, and that that's who we are, and we're not ashamed of it, and we want to just continue to share the love and share who we are. So with that, you guys be blessed, continue to be blessed and highly favored, and let us continue to live in dominion. Okay, bye for now. You guys have a blessed rest of your weekend.